Every single second, somewhere deep inside Washington, D.C., money is coming into being. Not from gold mines, not from printing presses, but from digital keyboards and typing fingers. Sure, every day the United States prints over $500 million in fresh physical cash. But here's the jaw-dropping truth. The digital printing press is far more powerful. Every 24 hours, the U.S. financial system spawns more than $4 billion in new digital dollars, completely invisible, yet completely real. So where is this phantom money coming from? And what's pulling the strings? To understand the greatest trick in modern economics, we need to travel back through time. Back before banks, before coins, before national debt became the actual currency of global power. Picture a world thousands of years ago. No coins, no paper money, just people trading goats for grain, tools for spices. You're a farmer and you need an axe. The blacksmith doesn't want wheat today, but maybe you promise to bring something else next week. What's that promise? That trust was the earliest form of currency. This is the barter system, and while it worked in small villages, it was clumsy. Too many items didn't match in value, some spoiled before they could be traded. People started using rare, durable items like salt, shells, even cattle as early money. Eventually, we struck gold. Literally, civilizations began to standardize value with precious metals: gold, silver, copper. Coins were minted, stamped with a symbol of trust: a king, an empire, a government. Trade exploded. Nations grew. And governments discovered something powerful. Whoever controls the money controls everything. But carrying large amounts of metal was risky. As kingdoms grew, so did the need for safer, lighter ways to transfer wealth. Enter the goldsmiths of 1600s London. These weren't bankers, but craftsmen with secure vaults. People began storing their gold with goldsmiths for safekeeping, receiving a written receipt in return. "This paper represents the gold I deposited," it said. Over time, these paper receipts began to be traded as if they were the gold itself. The goldsmiths noticed something strange. Most people never came to reclaim their gold. The receipts simply passed from hand to hand. So, they took a gamble. They began lending out more receipts than the gold they actually had in the vault. Say they had 1,000 pounds of gold, they might issue 5,000 pounds in paper notes. Why? Because people rarely all came back at once. They could collect interest on loans that were backed by nothing more than paper and confidence. This is the birth of fractional reserve banking, and it never stopped. Fast forward to today, we've ditched the gold, the vaults, even the paper receipts. What remains is the core idea: confidence and credit. When you deposit $1,000 in the bank, it doesn't just sit there. The bank lends out about $900 and keeps just $100 in reserve. But it doesn't move your money, it creates new money. When the bank approves a loan, it doesn't take money from someone else. It literally types a number into a borrower's account. That's how new money is born. Each time a bank approves a mortgage, a car loan, or a business credit line, it adds to the money supply. In a single year, U.S. banks can create trillions in new money. All digital, all backed by the promise of repayment. This system works as long as people believe in it. As long as no one panics, if everyone tried to withdraw their funds at once a bank run, the system would collapse. There's simply not enough physical money to go around. Enter the Federal Reserve, America's monetary wizard behind the curtain. Created in 1913, the Federal Reserve is not a traditional bank. It's more like the command center for the entire U.S. economy. It doesn't print the money you use. It creates it digitally by injecting it into the banking system. Here's how it works. When the economy slows, the Fed buys government bonds from commercial banks. When it does that, it pays the banks using money it literally conjures up from nowhere. That new money then flows through the economy into mortgages, stock markets, and business loans. This process is called open market operations, and it's one of the Fed's favorite tools. Want to speed up the economy? The Fed buys bonds and pumps in money. Want to cool things down? It sells bonds and pulls money out. Its ability to create and destroy money with a few keystrokes is the closest thing to magic modern governments possess. Now let's talk about bonds. Government bonds, or IOS. When the U.S. government wants to spend more than it earns, it issues bonds. Investors like banks, pensions, or foreign countries buy those bonds, effectively loaning money to the US the government spends that borrowed money. Eventually, the Fed might buy those bonds back from banks, which injects more money into the system. And just like that, more debt equals more dollars. Here's the truth. Our money isn't backed by gold. It's backed by debt. That's not an opinion, it's how the system is designed. America has a lot of debt. In 2024, the U.S. federal debt crossed $34 trillion. That's more than the total GDP of the entire country. The government keeps borrowing more. In recent years, federal revenue was about $4.4 trillion, but spending around $6.8 trillion. That's a $2.4 trillion gap covered entirely by borrowing. That means more bonds, more interest, more money created from nothing. And here's the kicker. As interest rates rise, the cost of maintaining that debt also rises. In 2023 alone, the U.S. paid over $900 billion just in interest. That's more than the entire military budget. This endless borrowing fuels a silent monster: inflation. Inflation happens when the money supply grows faster than the goods and services being produced. It's a stealthy tax. It eats away at your savings. What cost $1 in 1950 might cost $12 today. Inflation doesn't feel like theft, but it is. It takes purchasing power from the public and transfers it quietly to those who own assets that inflate in value. Retirees, low-income workers, savers, they all lose ground. That's why the cost of groceries climbs, why home prices balloon, why you feel like you're working harder but buying less. When banks and central banks keep creating money, it doesn't trickle down equally. It tends to flow into asset stocks, real estate, commodities. That's how bubbles form. Too much money chasing too few goods and investments means price surges, till one day the bubble pops. We saw it in 2008 with housing. We saw it with tech stocks in 2000. And we might see it again, because the system has no brakes. Just dials the Fed keeps turning. But wait, what makes all this possible? Why can the US borrow endlessly while other countries collapse under much less debt? One word: trust. The US dollar is the world's reserve currency. That means other countries use it to settle international trades, store reserves, and price vital resources like oil. This gives the US a unique privilege. It can print the world's most wanted currency. And as long as other countries want dollars, the US can run deficits without facing collapse. It's like having a credit card with no limit because everyone wants what you're spending. But this privilege isn't permanent. If global trust erodes, if countries like China, Russia, or Saudi Arabia start pushing for alternatives, we could see a dangerous shift. Already, there are efforts underway to trade oil in yuan or euros. Central banks worldwide are buying less US debt. The foundation isn't crumbling, but it's creaking. If faith in the dollar fades, inflation could spike. Interest rates could soar. Global investors could flee. The US might no longer get to print prosperity at will. So what can you do? First, educate yourself. Understand that money isn't just paper. It's a belief system, a cycle of debt and trust. Second, diversify. Don't keep all your savings in dollars. Real estate, stocks, gold, commodities, and even selective exposure to foreign assets can offer protection. Third, invest in productivity. The only real way to grow wealth is to increase the value you bring to the world. That means improving skills, building businesses, or investing in innovation. Fourth, watch interest rates and inflation indicators. These are signals of what's to come. If rates stay high, debt gets harder to pay. If inflation creeps up, your money loses value. Finally, stay adaptable. The world is changing fast. Digital currencies, decentralized finance, geopolitical shifts all could reshape how money works. Because here's the truth. Modern money is not real in the way we think. It's not backed by gold. It's not printed with limits. It's created from promises. It's a system built on debt. It's maintained by belief, managed by central banks, and navigated by all of us. So next time someone says money doesn't grow on trees, they're right. It grows on debt. Debt becomes dollars. Dollars become power. But only for as long as the illusion holds. So the next time you look at your bank balance, remember, those numbers didn't come from gold, labor, or real resources. They came from belief, a collective trust in a system built on debt, interest, In invisible contracts, America doesn't just print money, it manufactures confidence and sells it to the world. The only question is, how long will the world keep buying? So meet you in next video. Don't forget to subscribe. America doesn't just print money, it manufactures confidence and sells it to the world.